Okay. You straight or you straight? Lord. You don't need to check me. You don't keep on me. I mean, not check me there. I mean, just look at me. Alright, you ready?
Look at my eyes. Roll. Pray for her.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Welcome to the very first review here on Reviews in Black, where we give you all the information on the latest, the greatest, and the not so great in film and cinema.
Awesome. And yeah. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell button so you get the notifications. And be sure to comment and we can get this conversation going.
So, this episode we are reviewing a movie that we had the privilege of watching in Chicago while we were touring the city, Star Wars: The Rise of the Skywalker, which is a 2019 American epic space opera film, co-written, produced, and directed by J.J. Abrams, and of course, spearheaded by George Lucas, the great George Lucas.
Yes, sir.
This is the third installment of the Star Wars sequel trilogy following The Force Awakens in 2015 and The Last Jedi in 2017, and the final episode in a complete 9-part saga. Nine of them. I mean, it's definitely been a roller coaster ride. Produced by Lucasfilms, an Abrams production company, Bad Robot. It's featuring an ensemble cast including Carrie Fisher, who played the original Princess Leia, Mark Hamill, Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaacs, Anthony Daniels, and so on and so forth, including appearances with Lupita Nyong'o, Kerry Russell, and Billy D. Williams, which is actually really cool.
Billy D. Williams, that's what they call me.
Yeah, super cool.
Be sure to follow us.
Lord mercy.
We love Billy D.
So in this film, The Rise of the Skywalker, it follows Rey, Finn, and Poe Dameron as they lead the Resistance final stand against Kylo Ren and the First Order, who are now aided by the return of the deceased Galactic Emperor Palpatine. So there's pretty much a lot going on. This is like the culminating battle of where the Sith and the Rebellion kind of come to a head, in summary and in short, with this film and this final film of the Star Wars trilogy. So, as far as the story, what did you think about the story?
Man, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was they did a great job. Continuing the story, you know exactly where you are, you know exactly who everyone is at the very beginning of the movie. Me personally, I want just to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. There's something like, if this is gonna be the last Star Wars you're gonna hit me, because you've been hitting me with Star Wars my whole entire life.
Yeah, facts.
My whole life. And now you're telling me this is the last one you're gonna do, and you just don't knock my head off with it.
Yeah.
You know.
I hear you.
But it was still a great movie. I was still like dialed in all the way from the beginning to the end.
If you have been following Star Wars from the very, very beginning, again, right off the gate, you already know where we at. We already know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't been following Star Wars, it's kind of tough. Like if this is your first Star Wars film, you're probably not going to get a lot of the features, a lot of the different nuances of the film, because a lot of it is built literally over years and not like a few years, but like decades. And so it is a bit tough to kind of watch it firsthand. But again, if you've been following it, it's pretty good.
And I will tell you, they did a great job, because if you really know about this, there's a whole new cast that has been seamlessly integrated with the original cast of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And they did a great job in mixing them in, and luckily mostly everybody was still alive.
Yeah.
For the for the filming of the movie.
Absolutely.
So it worked great. It worked great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved. There were some real poetic moments in the film that I enjoyed, that they happened to kind of integrate into the movie. I love the kind of back and forth qualm between Kylo Ren and so I loved the nuances between Kylo Ren and Rey, and how they interwove so many emotions between the two. Like, it was a battle and such a conflict. At the same time, there was a certain level of love and passion undergirding all of it. It's almost as if they weren't necessarily enemies. They were almost angry that they couldn't be what they wanted them to be to each other. And at the end, it really came to a head. And I think the way that it just spilled over and climax, to me, I thought was really beautiful. I'm not much of a love story type of person, but I do appreciate how they interwove that with the action, with the thrilling, and kind of the whole storyline. I thought that was really nice.
But I'll tell you, I wasn't clear if it was a romantic relationship or a type of relationship where they were drawn to each other because Kylo knew Rey in a way that nobody else knew her. Yeah. You know, and I thought that was their connection. Their connection. And it was finally when they at the end you got to see what kind of relationship it was, and I was like, okay, all right, now I'm comfortable now. That question mark is now checked off. Another
nuance that I thought was really nice, and I know this one's probably been plastered all over the internet, but I still think it was pretty cool, was there was a moment where they were trying to figure out where the location of this place of this, where they needed to find this thing, right? To not necessarily give it away. And C-3PO, he had this moment where everything that they needed was in his head, but in order to get to it, they had to wipe his memory clean. And so there was this moment where he stopped and he just stared, and everybody was like, you know, are you okay, or what are you doing? And he was like, just taking a last look at my friends. And I thought that was, you know, a bit of an endearing moment because it was the last Star Wars. So it was kind of like, oh, yeah, this is the last time we're going to see them. I think in the movie, I wish it would have came a little later. I think it would have been poetic if it was later in the movie. It was kind of towards the beginning. But if it was later in the movie, it kind of would have been like, is it but in the beginning, it was just like, oh, yeah, but we still have like an hour and a half to go, so let's roll the story, you know. But I still thought it was a really cool moment that they inserted in there as an homage to the final Star Wars. So, yeah. So about the production. What did you think about the production?
Oh, it's never fails. They've been consistent since the very beginning. Yeah. Action, clean action. You know, you have some action films that you can see, you try to figure out, okay, what just happened? Like for me, like the very first Transformers, the scene between Bumblebee when he had the first original fight in the little field. You couldn't tell what the fight and just saw a bunch of fireworks. But in Star Wars, it's always been clean action. Things that's jaw-dropping, that's eye-appealing. So I mean, the action was amazing. Of course, the acting and even the little comedy moments in the movie was still there. So it's still Star Wars from head to tail. I thought the direction of it was amazing. I thought it was great.
I loved how Carrie Fisher was in there as Princess Leia, and if some people don't know, which again, if you're a Star Wars fan, you should know that she actually passed away a little bit suddenly in December of 2016. Yet in this movie, she still had a very significant role in the plot and moving it forward. And so they had to masterfully put together this post-humus presentation of her and still maintain her essence, and I thought that they did a great job. I had to do a double take and kind of wipe my eyes a few times, because when you look at it, you almost like, is that really a CGI or is that her? Like, did they really film this film, or is like this the CGI part after she passed away? They did a great job placing it together.
They did. And actually, I wasn't sure of the timeline when she died in the development of this movie. So until now, literally just about 3 seconds ago, I thought it was all Princess Leia. You know, I had no idea it was CGI. So kudos to you, Star Wars.
The overall experience, right? Going to see it in the theater. We saw it in the dinner theater in Chicago.
AMC Block 37. But being able to have that experience, stuff that you just, it's not the same sitting at home, you know, and being around people who genuinely love movies. There was one guy to our right, he was clapping by himself. It was just him and his son.
And his son, I don't know if it was like his first one, but like you could hear like as the movie progressed, he was like explaining certain things to his son, and his son was so enamored. And at the end, both of them were like, You know, it was cool.
Nothing like the theater experience. There's
Yeah.
nothing like it.
Absolutely, it was cool. So overall, let's get to the rating system. We finally, for those who have been watching us before we even started this channel, we got a rating system. We worked it out. So, so our rating system is based on a 5-point scale, just like a lot of review systems out there. But because our thing is all about getting out the house, going to the movies, we have it based on when you should see the movie, with our best and top rating being double feature, meaning that it's so good you can go see it twice, and our lowest rating being it can wait, which means you do not have to rush out the door, if at all, to go see this film in the theater. So, me, for Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker, I would rate it a must-see. Again, just because I've been such a fan and I followed it from the beginning, watched it to the end. Even the Star Wars, because they produced 4, 5, and 6, came back and did 1, 2, and 3. And so I even went back and flip-flopped them and watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've just watched it too long. And so to me, it's a must-see. I don't care how, more I want it from it. I just had to see it in the theater. Like, there's just no other option.
Well, I probably spilled the beans earlier in this video, but I did say that although I wanted to see just a little bit more, I did say that I would see it again. And I would see that in the movie theaters again. So I too will give it a double feature, which is our very first of 2020, our very first review that's going to get...
No, I gave it a must-see.
Oh, you did? Oh, never mind.
I gave it a must-see.
So if you are a Star Wars fan, you would probably see it twice. So I'll give it a double feature.
Okay, I'd still give it a must-see. Although, I would still want to own the DVDs. I'd still want to have the collectibles. I'm still that much invested to it, because at this point in the game, it is what it is.
So we give it a must-see and a half.
A must-see and a half.
A must-see and a half. Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay. Wait.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Shoot. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. It's a must-see.
It's a must-see. But either way, the whole point is it's worth going to the theaters to go see.
It won't be a disappointment.
Will not be a disappointment at all. So thank you. This is our first review. I'm excited. So if you haven't already, just like Tim said in the beginning, be sure that you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. It's Reviews in Black, but you can find it if you search In Black Reviews or Facebook.com/In Black Reviews, and that's for all of our stuff. That's on Instagram. Be sure that you subscribe here. We are going to do our darnest to get reviews out every single week. We see movies all the time from the theater to Netflix, so we're going to hope that we can continue to deliver some good content as well as theater reviews.
Yep, make sure you ring that bell so you can get notifications when we post. Also, we're going to bring you more than just, we're going to try to broaden our skill with the movies that we see. Yes. So just not your blockbusters, but there's a few movies that have been brought to my attention, and I'm definitely going to see it, and we're going to talk to you about those things that you may not have heard about or may not have seen on the main vein. We're going to get those till we can get reviews for everybody who has that Cinemation that we got.
Absolutely. And if there are any movies that you want us to watch, any movies that you come across that you heard about that may not be, blockbuster mainstream, or you just want to have a review on it to see if it's something that it's worth watching, let us know. Even if it's a throwback, we watch them all. So please join in. Make sure you comment down below. Tell us what you thought of Star Wars. Make some suggestions of what we should watch. Make some suggestions on what you want to hear. And hopefully we will get back to you one of these weeks coming soon.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. That's good, man. That's a good one.
You just gonna keep it rolling?
I'm about to stop it.